Hi folks, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be making a small repair panel for a scuttle panel. This is on the red RS Turbo that I've been doing. I didn't plan on filming it, but I actually made sort of part of the panel already, and a lot of people really want, well I say a lot of people, 2 people asked me sort of how to do it, and I thought it's actually a good opportunity to do a proper panel making video. It's quite a complex little panel. It's got a small curve across there, a small line in there, and then a couple of lines in there. So I mean, it's not a compound curve, but it technically is. You know, it's got to be stretched in here. Then you've got a small curve on this lip here, and then the other part of the panel is a twin fold, but it curves sort of that way and curves that way as well. So that bit was quite difficult to make, but we'll go through everything. First thing we need to do is we need to go over to the car and we'll actually make a little pattern, a little template. Okay, as you can see, I have already started it. This is how it looks like beforehand. You know, it was all scabby, you know, and everything else. But you know, the first thing you want to do is clean it back. I use the strip and clean pad, so I'm not taking any metal away. I'm just getting it so you can see the shape. I've drawn in the lines here so you can see better on the camera, because the way the light was glaring you couldn't really see it. But you know, that's the line comes in this way, it comes in this way, and then there's a small line here. So then that's where it's a lot lower than sort of these 3 points. But that's where it's got to go sort of down. As I say, I mean, I did start with this piece, but I've obviously cut that out because I did start it, but I'll show you how I got on, how I did that, and then sort of cut it out so that I could start working through it. All I'm using is this, which is basically masking paper. You know, it doesn't cost a lot. And then what I do is I use these small magnets. These are neodymium magnets. They were a lot smaller when I bought them, so I've just glued like stacks of 3 together there, and you can see that. So we'll just start with go well over the edge. Put the lead it all the way down there, and we'll just put the magnet on. Make sure it's as in all the little pieces as you can get. Go. So this is where you've got to be careful. I don't know whether you can see that, but as you push in there, it wants to pucker up there. So what we need to do is we need to get the rough shape in, and then we can start working out the sort of fiddly bits. Okay. Just using a pencil, we're just going to go on the edge. As you see, I'm pulling it tight, pushing it down. On the edges, you don't have to be sort of too accurate, because you're going to oversize the panel and then you'll trim it down to what you actually need afterwards. So just give yourself a rough idea of what you're doing. So right, now I do know that I want to sort of come down sort of here a little bit. So I'm going to add a little piece there. The rock doesn't actually go that far up, so I'll probably bring it down. Just something roughly like that. Then what we do is, I need to draw that line. I can draw that line really quick. This one's a little bit more important because this one's a fold, so take a little bit more time on this. Where you're going to cut, I wouldn't worry too much. So then it off and you can get a quick snip out. Alright, so I've got the template made now, cut out. So it's basically a matter of putting it back where it was, which is an easy one. Again, using the magnets, just put it on. This time you want to stay away from the crease. As you can see, you've got a little bit of overlap there, a little bit of overlap there. You don't really have to worry too much about it, just as long as it's where it should be. Try to get close to that point there without working. The other side of it as well. So these magnets are not very expensive. They are a godsend. And then it's just a matter of finding the crease. Like, so there's a point there. Now this is where you do want to be a little bit more accurate and a bit more careful. Try and hold it in. A little bit more defined in the line. Just using my fingertips to sort of find it. And then, as you see, I've just done a couple of 3 points, and then I know that's a fairly straight line, so we can, now we can do it again. Rolled off there. Right, and this one isn't very tight. It's very. So again, just using my fingertip, finding the. There we go. That is the template. We've got a fold line there. Let's get that in a little bit more defined. But just rubbing that out, because now we know that we've got these absolutely spot on. This is where we want to make sure that all of the rest of the lines are good. So again, just go right on the top of that. I'm not too worried about that edge for the minute, because that's going to be a cut line, but this is a fold line, so we want that pretty spot on. And then that one is pretty spot on. So there we go, let's go take this over to the metal. Okay, now back on the bench, got my metal set up, got my little template here. All I'm going to do is, using these little magnets again, just work out where it's best to fit on your thing. Again, over on these edges. Just holding that down. There we go, done. I'm going to use a pencil, try and keep my head out of the way of the camera, and I'm just going to draw around it. And you can see I'm folding it and going over. I'm not actually going to the line, I'm just over making this panel. You can always trim the panel down, you can't put more on. Nice clean line. Now it's just a matter of cutting it out with a grinder. Got it cut out. You can see, you should be able to just about see, you know, everything's over, you know, it's a little bit bigger. I'm just going to use a file, clean all this off. You can use a linishing disc or whatever, I just can't bother change the disc. There we go. So, Now we're taking a template again and we line it back up. Hang on. So we're going back to the magnets. And this is where you want it as tight as you can get it, really. To transfer these lines over, I'm just going to use a dot punch and the end of a hammer. Now you don't want to be hitting it too hard to leave a real heavy mark. What you need to do is just literally follow the line all the way across. Now, what we can do is just take off a couple of the magnets, just peel it back, make sure you can see cleanly, put them back. Yeah, you can see them. I'm pretty confident. I'm not actually going to be using this panel anyway because I spent all that time on the other one. This is just for the video. But yeah, just go around, just check it, lift it up. Now, you probably can't see that, but you can just about see the lines. So what I want to do is define them a little bit more, so that way when I'm working with the panel, it's a lot easier to do. Just line it up. There you go, so you got that. And then you can just sort of follow your dots, put that curve in. Very carefully, very lightly. There we go. And that's the basic shape of the panel. Okay, now what we need to do is we actually need to put some shapes into it. Now we've got the lines and we know where the shape should be, we need to do that. As I said at the top of the video, you know, that little crown there does need to be stretched. I did try it on this scrap piece, you know, I used the template and I tried it, that one. So, I mean, I did sort of try, I don't know whether that's going to show up or not. But it hasn't stretched properly. It's sort of bowed it in all over the place. You probably could heat it up, spend a little more time fettling it, but I've got the shrinker stretcher, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it over there and I'm actually just going to stretch it in there. So let's go. Sorry if it's a little bit dark on this segment, but I wasn't going to bring all my lights all the way over here just for this little bit because we're only going to be here for a few minutes. So as I said, you know, we need to stretch this little area down here. That's just a fold line, so we don't need to worry too much about that. I'm just going to follow along the line. We need to sort of go heavier here and then slowly bring it out and just follow that line because that's where it's going to be stretching. So it's just a matter of lining it up with the jaws. I'm just going to give it a little pinch and then just slowly do it. Don't overwork it, don't try and mar your metal up. It will move, and just give it a few goes. A little bit heavier in the middle. I'm working out softer. A little bit heavier in the middle. And then what you'll see, you probably can't see it on camera too much, but it will actually start crowning just here. So you've got to judge it by eye. You've got to have a look at how far you want the metal to go down afterwards, you know, to sort of gauge it. But you know, any stretching is going to help. There we go. So let's take it back over to the bench and I'll show you what we do now. Right, back over the bench. We need, what do we need? We need more vice. Where's that one? Where's that? I use this little vice on my bench, but any vice will do. You want your jaws open probably, what's that, 2 centimetres give or take, and then roughly line it up, and then using a blunt bolster chisel, and it has to be blunt. It's not rounded over as such, but it's definitely blunt. You're going to line it up on your line. Now this is where you need it to go down in the middle and then sort of stay up at the edge. So hitting it, but putting a bit of angle on it as well. And then just giving it like that. And then the next one. And there we go, we've got the main point started. So now what I want to do is I'm going to offer it up to the car. I'm pretty certain that needs to come up a little bit further. That needs to be flattened out. That could probably do a little bit more as well. And now we've got it started, I can't really go any more on that. We can use the flat edge. Now we've got a line to go through, we can start hitting it around. Again, starting in the middle. So yeah, now we've got the curve in it, we'll go back to the car and we'll offer it up. Okay, so I've got the plate pretty much made. I'm happy with how it's sitting. I mean, it will want some more fettling, but for now, we're mostly there. What we need to do is make the actual windscreen lip. I'm not going to keep running backwards and forwards to the car. I'm going to cheat. I've already made it, and I can show you how to take the measurements directly from here and with the camera sort of straight over the bench. It'll be a lot easier for us. So first thing we need to do is measure out how far you need it. Again, like I did with the other panel, you know, always go over. You can trim the panel down, but work out where your rust is, go over it. In this instance, I'm not going to make a template because there's folds involved. You can't account for all of the folds and the thickness of the metal. So, just going to use a tape measure, measure out how much we need, and then go over. So, I need 240mm by, say, 20mm by 20mm by 20mm. So that will be well over. I know these are around 18mm, but again, I've gone over the top every single measurement. So we're going to do the 240 by 60. Alright, to get my first line in, I'm going to measure down there. I'm going to use my vernier because I've got it, and then literally just using the depth gauge. in there. Now, you may have noticed I haven't actually measured it, I've just used my depth gauge. So, I'm going to colour the ends here, just to make it a little bit easier for me to see. And that's my first line, it's my first mark. I'll take that over to the fold and get that folded. Right, now the next one is come down from the fold. Again, just like that. Right, we'll use that. This is nothing special, this is just 2 pieces of angle iron with some bolts welded in it and then a little mount there. So I can put me thing in there, clamp it up. Okay, so I've got my line in. Right, I need to get that to the other side. Right, and the reason I'm not doing it that way is because remember what I was saying to you about the metal? I know that that width there is exactly the same as that width there. So transferring over, it stays the same. And because you've got the mark on there, you can easily see where you've been. I always draw a line because just in case you sort of scratch it or you have to walk away for a minute, because you've got a definitive line, you want to put that fold up. With the line. Using the blunt bolster chisel again. You don't want to hold it at an angle, you want to hold it the way, sort of 90 degrees to where your work's going, so I'll move it down as I go. And little bit by little bit, slowly, you don't want to go too fast. As you can see, I didn't clamp it down to where I was chasing it. Now, I'm going to just neaten that edge up a little bit. So you've made the exact shape. Now, we've got extra on the, I don't know if you can see that, hopefully you can, but the angles are perfect because you've measured it individually rather than all in one go. So see there. So now, what I'm going to do is just trim that edge off because we don't need that. So I don't want to go too far because we do want a little bit extra for making the width of the panel so it all merges together. So I'm just going to go 20mm. You don't want it too big because you've got to work it now. So this is where we measure 20mm. That might be a bit much. 17mm. 17.5 will that do. Now we've got the shape, and yeah, I want a bit offline now, I'm not too worried about it. You can easily just lineage that back. What we need to do is we need to do the first curve. So, as I sort of explained before, it curves that way and it curves that way. Okay, so we want to start with the inside curve. I'm not going to go too mad with this because I've already spent ages doing it and it does take a while to get it right. So I'm going to start with the top lip because I know that's the right one. And then we need to bend it. So as you can see on this one, I marked out which way we need to bend it. So what you need to do is find yourself something curved. So, I mean, a dolly like that in advice would work quite well, although it's got that slight angle there, so you've got to be careful. I'm lucky that my little vice has got that edge there, and that's what I use, and that's what I'm going to use again. So, I'm going to start by making sure it is very firmly clamped down. So I know it needs to go that way, so I'm going to be pushing that way. Hopefully you can see that. There's no other way I can do this really. There you go, you can sort of see it. I'm still not framed properly, I apologise, but at least we can get there now, we can do what we're doing. The one big thing with this is you do want glass. You probably gathered that I don't wear glass that often. That's because I've got really short fingers and it just gets in my way. There's not much I can do about it. But for this, you do want glass. Like, so, you put it on there, get it balanced, and you want to heat it up. Not hot, but just using a heat gun, just give it a little bit of light. All over, uniformly. Probably want to go for about a minute or so, not too long. Just so nice and even. So, try and keep it as straight as you can in your hands, and then just rock it. You don't want to twist it, you just want to rock it around that thing. And then, with lots and lots of pressure, you'll get it. You know, you can see that to bend. Smooth that. So, let's keep going until you get it where you want it. Don't want it where you want it, you want it a bit over. Try right to the end. Yeah, we're getting there. When you're looking at it as well, try and look at the bottom edge, like the actual. Why the fuck am I doing this? When you're looking at it, making sure it's bent, try and look in the corner, not at this outside bit, because that is going to flare out a little bit. So we've got a little bit of a curve there, not much at the minute. You know, it's cooled down a piece, so no more heat. At this stage, like I said, you do want to go over. So, you know, keep going back to the car and checking. You know, we're about on par with where we want to be. So, we need to go over a little bit, because what will happen is, when you look, it's starting to curve that way where we've been putting pressure on. So then when you use a shrinker stretcher to put this curve back in, it will actually straighten that back out. So you want to go over quite a bit. Yeah, now you can see we've got a bit more curve, quite a lot more curve. So I'm going to shrink stretcher. We'll get this out. I'm not going to go too mad with this, you know, because it does take a while. But I will show you that, you know, it will straighten out the shrinker stretcher, and then it's just a matter of constantly doing that, going back to the car, checking, wherever. Like I said, I've already done it with that one, so just demonstrating with this one. So let's go over to the shrinker stretcher. Okay, so I've got my stretcher jaws in there at the minute. So what they're literally doing that to the metal. So you've got to look at where you're going, and then that wants to go that way, and that wants to go that way. Yeah. So if you look at the arrows, it wants to go that way. So stretching it is going to make it curve this way. So it needs to go that way. So then, I say this drop down, duck on that way. First of all, just very lightly bring it back straight. This is where it really does pay to take your time, because you can quite easily just go over the top and kink it. I don't know whether you can see that, but what it's doing is this side's still curved, but that side's now going that way, so you get this weird funky thing in the middle. Now I need to swap the drawers over, so then we can do that. So now we'll get this out. Again, starting slowly. This will go a lot quicker because it's already under tension. It's actually pretty good. So, put the edges in. Now we've got that straightened out, it's, as you can see, it all twists again. So now we need to go back to the stretcher and get that out. We've got a bit of a curve there, but then that curve's straightened out. So do that, and we've still got that one there, although it has shrunk quite a lot. This is where two shrinker stretchers is very, very handy. And there we go, you finally get your curve. So, as you can see, we've got a curve, but it has straightened out the other one that we did. So, after the shrinker stretcher, that's what we've got. You can see the curves basically the same. But that way's not quite right. As I said earlier, it does take a long time. You've got to go backwards and forwards, back to the car, check the angles, back to the shrinker stretcher, back to here. You know, I mean, that probably took me about 2 hours, and then afterwards, sort of hammering everything sort of perfectly straight on the bench, making sure there's no kinks in there and everything else. So you get the idea of how to do that. It just takes a long time. So now we've got that piece made. The only step that I haven't really shown up on the car to here is sort of, we've got the shapes there, and then offered that in into the car, clamped that up, and then just ground that back until it fitted nicely. So now we've got them two, let's crack on with the car. Right, so it's actually basically where I was at. I've made this panel, and then I cut that trim lip off so that fits in there nicely. Still wants a little bit of tweaking, but we can do that in. So what I've done is I've clamped this up, and I will redo it. And this is so that's basically where he was at, or where I was at. Now, I'll just trim this edge here. There's a little bit just in there, I don't know whether you can catch it on camera, where I'd missed. There's still a little bit of rust there, but I can easily put in just a tiny little piece of metal underneath afterwards. So I'm not too worried about that for the minute. The main bit is we've got these lines where they're supposed to be. As you can see, and you probably can't see, but that's actually a little bit proud of it. Because I still haven't finished fettling that. I've got it fairly close of where I want it. Now I've got my panels all made up, I'm going to start trimming this down. Okay? I don't need it all. I've made it all because it's a lot easier to make a big piece than it is a small piece. But as you can see, there's only a few rust spots here. Now I want to weld it, but I don't want to weld near any of the lines that I've made. So I'm going to bring it in a little bit, and I'm probably going to bring it down here and then leave, because it's gone here, it's gone here. I want to try and keep as much here as I possibly can so I can put another little piece in here. That's my own fault. I should have sort of continued this up, but I chopped too much off. So yeah, it's just a matter of trimming this down a little bit now, and then we can mark and then we'll mark this out and cut it out. And now I've got that trimmed back, I'll draw around it. So if you notice, like I said, I've cut inside the lines, and I've also cut well inside this line because I know that this is thicker, so it's going to come back. So I'll probably end up trimming the bottom of the other one. So I just want to give myself plenty of leeway. So, let's see how we look. Alright, I'm pretty much happy with the fit now, so we're going to get this back on. And colour that in with a marker. Just like this, just a little trim. Colour that in. Stick this in. gonna weld it. Now I can see where I need to go, and then what I'll do is I'll use the linear shot and take that down, so then that'll be perfect. So that should, there we go, good. Should be bang, there it is. Can we go, not even holding it, and it's flushed in. Case take time. Do it right. So now what we'll do is I will actually clamp this up, and then what I want to do is I want to cut the tack welds on this, and then we can take it to the bench and then weld it all up properly. Flush, flush. It's a little bit bad there, but I can't get it clamping, so I'll push that down with the screwdriver. And then I can tap it in. Right, so as I said, I'm just going to push it down right in that corner so I know it is. Using a flat screwdriver so it's flush. And then that's flush because it's clamped. Straps on. It is weld two panels together. That should be fine because there we go, then two panels are joined. So unclamp it, and unclamp it, and we'll get it on the bench, and then we'll fully weld it on. Got the bench back inside. I'm going to weld these two solidly together. All I've done is tack welded it there, but I'm going to weld it from the inside down there. That way I know there's a lot less grinding to do. It should be a lot neater. I don't want it to distort because there's no way of clamping it without messing it up. So I've got my airline on standby. I'm literally going to be trigger, airline, trigger, airline, trigger, airline until we've gone all the way through. Got it completely seam welded in. Managed to get a couple of decent stitches for good penetration. As you can see, it's gone all the way through. I didn't want to weld it this side because you end up with massive blobs like that, and I've still got to grind it back. I'm going to get most of it back now, but obviously I'll still have to do the edges on the car. If I can do that on the bench, it's going to make my life easier. I'm going to use this little cut-off wheel because I can get in there, get a nice sharp angle. The windscreen rubber comes down there, so I can get away with a little bit, but I want it as close as I possibly can. Well, that's it for this video. The repair panel's all made. I'm not going to show welding it in. It's not really what this video was all about. It was about sort of showing you some basic skills to get, you know, a complicated shape. As you see, you know, it's not a massively complicated process. It just takes a little bit of thought, you know, and a little bit of time. You know, you spend some time, a little bit of thought. You know, you can do almost anything, you know, with basic tools. I don't have a bead roller or an English wheel setup. You know, I've only got my shrinker stretcher. I'd love another one. It would have made life a lot easier with that, but you know, that's an investment for another day. I don't have the money at the minute. It's just me pottering around on old cars. If you like this sort of thing, you know, and you want to see me do sort of more panel making opposed to just fitting panels and restorations, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know by sort of giving me the thumbs up. When you do sort of like the video and give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing. You know, that side of it really does help YouTube take off. When you do subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're informed of all my latest videos. You can sort of keep up to date with me on day-to-day stuff with Instagram and Facebook, where you'll see this sort of welded in all nice. I'll butt weld it all up and it'll be lineage back. I've done the other side already, go check that out now if you want to. Yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for persevering until the end, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.